it was this certain situation, man. I was on the compound with Big Meech at the time, and but he had just got there. But I was Big Meech over there at the compound at the time. You know what I'm saying? Like you might have had it in the streets, but I got it in here, and I got the compound on lock with this bag. So he ended up, approaching me or sending one of his partners to holler at me about buying the shoes because he seen me with them on. And I sent the message back to him. I told him, man, listen here. If you see anybody else with these type of shoes on the compound, then I'll give them to you. But other than that, you can't give me $5,000 for them. It depends on, I end up going to maximum security. So yeah, it was some killings and probably I seen maybe about, I ain't gonna say I'm my hands registered, but they damn near.
Let me ask you this. You're fighting with a Mexican in Texas State Prison. It doesn't become a bigger issue with the blacks against the Mexicans? Nothing like that?
No, I wasn't at a maximum security then. I was at a medium security institution on this certain situation.
What's up, Texas Black? We're here live doing a video interview today with Texas Black out of Texas. Did a bunch of time, did about 16 years. Black, what was it like for you to be in federal prison, brother?
Well, I did some time in the state before I went to the feds. So me going to the feds was just like I guess I don't want to make it seem like, a walk in the park, but it kind of was, when you know how to do time, you know how to do time. So being in the feds it was new being in the federal institution, but me doing time wasn't new. So I wasn't, afraid of nothing or, it was just a doing time to me.
So you end up doing 16 years in the feds. What do you go to federal prison for?
Robbery.
Go to prison 16 years for robbery. Who are you robbing and what are you robbing them for?
Well, I didn't rob. I robbed a post office.
You go in the post office. What do you think you're going in the post office to get? You coming out with some bread? What are you stealing? Money orders?
Well, that's exactly what I went in there for. Ain't no money in no post office. So, well, they do have money in the post office, but you ain't going up in there like it's a bank or something. You ain't getting that kind of money. But I went in there and got a case of blank money orders and a money order in printer. So therefore, I had blank money orders and I was able to put my own date on there and the amount that I wanted. So for about a week straight, I was just having people cash money orders for me. So I ended up getting a leadership role. I never cashed any money orders myself. So in about 7 days, I had probably a little over $100,000 worth of money orders cash. So that's exactly what I went in there for.
What was your life like growing up in Texas?
I I was in the streets. I didn't have to be, but I was in the streets. You know what I'm saying? I was on the my neighborhood was mostly Crips. You know what I'm saying? But I wasn't no Crip myself. But I was. That's my hood. That was my homies. You know what I'm saying? So we kicked it, and school, I went to school. I graduated all the way to high school. I didn't finish high school, but I went to high school, got in a lot of trouble in school because I was in the streets and in school. So, I ended up dropping out and started the street life real heavy then.
You grew up around a bunch of Crips, but they don't require you to get down. You don't have to be a Crip. You're still safe.
Oh yeah. I was able to move all around my city because I wasn't a Crip, you know what I'm saying? So dudes knew what side of town I was from. It was more of a what side of town you from more than, the being a Crip or a Blood, you know what I'm saying, with me, because I wasn't affiliated or I wasn't a Crip, I was able to move around. But if shit got, if some shit hit the fan, then I went and got my homeboys from my side of town, which end up being Crips. You know what I'm saying? But that was far and in between. You know what I'm saying? Even right now today, when I go back to my hometown, you know what I'm saying, I go to my hood, and of course these guys are older. They not, active like that with the gangs anymore, but they still, OGs and so on and so forth, highly respected. So I go by and I kick it with them or see them at clubs or outings. You know what I'm saying?
What city did you grow up in?
Beaumont, Texas.
So you grew up in Beaumont. You know that Beaumont prison's over there, and you end up in federal prison.
Yes, yes.
What was it like growing up in Beaumont, knowing that there's a federal prison right down the road?
Man, you ain't gonna believe this here. My father had the biggest black construction company from there. So uh my dad built that federal penitentiary. He also built one of the state penitentiaries, the county jails. Like he had, yeah, So you got to look at, I was respected on both sides of the streets. You know what I'm saying? Because of my family, and then when like I said, I didn't have to be in the streets. You know what I'm saying? That's just something, because I was originally from the north side. You know what I'm saying? Of Beaumont. So by me being from the north side, I'm in the streets. But when my father business really, really took off when I was born, he looked at me and wanted to be like, okay, I'm gonna give you the game on this construction thing. And that's what he ended up doing. And we moved out the hood. But I always went back to the hood because that was where I was originally from.
So your father was making pretty good money providing for the family, but you end up in the streets. Why? Why are the streets calling you?
I've never been a follower. Nobody ever tell you that. So I guess that's why I never was, I never joined the gang, because I always looked at myself as a leader, because that's the way I was raised. I was raised in a household where my father was the leader, you know what I'm saying? And that's the only man I ever looked up to in my life, you know what I'm saying, was my father. So um I tell people this all the time. Even though I got everything I wanted, when I would go to the hood, I would still see kids whose people or family wasn't as fortunate as mine, and they had the same thing I had. You understand? If I had the latest Jordans, I go to the projects. The little young dudes my age, they got Jordans too. So I'm wanting to know how y'all getting Jordans. I'm not asking these questions. I'm just paying attention. And at a young age, they selling dope. You know what I'm saying? Like back then, in the 80s, I'm talking about like 80, 80, 88, 87, you know what I'm saying? Uh, Dudes wearing Jordans and buying $50 sacks of, crack cocaine, flipping it for 80, $100. You making, 30, maybe $50 profit, you know what I'm saying? And I'm seeing kids my age with not some money. You know what I'm saying? It's not that I didn't have money. I got allowance, but I didn't have the money that they had. So that's what kind of, I guess, influenced me to start messing with the crack epidemic, buying dope, because I got money, but I didn't have money like that. But I got enough to go buy me, a $50 sack or $100 sack to flip it. And I started like that, you know what I'm saying? But that money, being in Texas, wasn't fast enough for me. So then I got into robbing. So I started robbing dope dealers and so on and so forth. You know, it's articles all in the newspaper about, the robbery streaks I was going on and so on and so forth.
You go to state prison for?
Robbery.
How much time do you get in the state of Texas for robbing?
I ended up having like 3 counts of aggravated robbery. My father knew politicians and so on. So I ended up getting 10 years. But I wasn't supposed to do nothing but about 2.5 and end up doing the whole 10. 9 years, 8 months, and some days.
You end up
And
doing the whole 10 years almost when you could have been out in a couple years.
yeah,
Why? What's going on in Texas? What are you doing to lose your good time?
uh, I went down at like 17, so I'm fighting and, just being the youngster in the penitentiary, man. You know what I'm saying? Around a whole bunch of, uh serious guys, you know what I'm saying? Not to say I wasn't no serious guy. I'm in there for robbery, but I'm a youngster, you know what I'm saying? You fighting, and it's just a lot of shit that, you getting into and getting caught up, losing your good time. I end up losing so much good time that and my class end up dropping so low that it took me like 7, 8 years to get my class back to where I came in the system in order for me to see parole again. So I fucked up to the point where I couldn't even see parole because I didn't have the same class, uh, which is custody level of when you come in prison. You have to have that same custody level. And so I messed up to the point where it took me 7 years to get that custody level back in order for me to see parole.
Are they stabbing over there in Texas at that time?
It depends on. I end up going to maximum security. So yeah, it was some killings, and probably I seen maybe about in the state then maybe about 3 or 4 killings. Yeah.
3 or 4 killings. How does that affect you, man? You're in state prison. You see someone get murdered. You're a young man. How does that affect you?
I mean, well, I had seen it in the streets before I went to prison. So, you know what I'm saying? I don't know. I just, just the way I carry myself, I'm a very confident person. I know my capabilities. So, even when I went in at 17, I wasn't scared or nothing like that. It's just who I am, you know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that I'm no killer or no hell of a person, but I know my capabilities. So, I moved about it, in the state prison the same way I did in the streets and in the feds. Uh I was in the state jacking guys, breaking in cells, breaking in lockers, extorting and robbing people in the state prison. I did it in the feds.
So you're in state prison. You're robbing people in state prison. What are you stealing from them in state prison?
I mean, commissary, personal items, radios, headphones, anything that they got of value.
When you're mine, you're like, yo, I'm taking whatever I can get.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't all the time. If I'm doing bad, you got to understand, when I first went in there, parents is taking care of you. I got females looking out for me, so on and so forth. But as time goes on, people fall off. So, I was getting it how I get it.
So you got to eat pretty much. If you're hungry, you're taking some.
Well, I'm not going to say I was ever starving, but, if I wanted my locker to be fat too.
So what happens? You ever have anybody refuse, like push back?
Oh yeah, I had it one time I'm watching TV and the Mexican, he come from behind me and hit me, you know what I'm saying? Because somebody told him that I had broken this in his cell or broken his locker and took his shit, you know what I'm saying? But this an incident, homie, I ain't even have nothing to do with. Didn't even know nothing about the situation or nothing. But because I had that reputation of doing it, but I end up, beating his ass and so on and so forth. I ain't gonna say my hands registered, but they damn near.
Let me ask you this: you're fighting with a Mexican in Texas state prison. It doesn't become a bigger issue with the blacks against the Mexicans. Nothing like that.
No, I wasn't at a maximum security then. I was at a medium security institution on this certain situation. So now it didn't come into nothing. But you know, like I said, I wasn't affiliated with nothing, but you're gonna have homeboys and you're gonna establish friendships. So what nobody gonna let nobody jump me. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna say I was different from nobody or I was untouchable, but you got people that, I attract, real men that, I kick it with. And so, people gonna make sure, nothing really happened to me. You know what I'm saying?
How about when you get to the max? Are you done robbing when you get to the max in state prison or no?
No, I just done things a little slicker or a little better. You know what I'm saying? I learned as time went on. You just gotta. It's all about how you move. You know what I'm saying? The same way in the streets, it's all about how you move. If people hearing about you in the streets that you robbing and jacking, every time you come around, they gonna move around or that your name gonna be out there, but then you got to clean your act up and do it a different way. You know what I'm saying? Where everybody don't know that's you that's doing it.
So you're in there robbing. I mean, are these knife point robberies though? Some of them.
No, no, no. I didn't get to that point till I went to the Fed. You know what I'm saying? Because and especially with in the Feds, at a USP, you gonna play that knife play if you call yourself taking anything from anybody. You know what I'm saying? But mostly, I talk the person up out of whatever I needed. You know what I'm saying? Like, if 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 I wasn't just breaking in your locker and stealing it, then 9 times out of 10, I talked you out of it.
So now you go to the feds, right? You got a 16 piece. What's your first prison in the feds?
Uh, I opened up. Yeah, no, I opened up. Yeah, Yazoo Medium. I come in the system in like '05, and so the hurricane had just hit. You had Hurricane Katrina, and right after that, down my way, we had Rita, maybe about 30 minutes later. I mean, 30 days later or so, and they shut down Beaumont. It messed up the complex in Beaumont, the USP, the medium. So they shut the medium down because it had flooded and all that. So they shipped. I was designated to go to Beaumont Medium, is what I'm getting at. But they end up shutting it down, so they end up sending me to Yazoo, Mississippi.
Yazoo. I hate that prison and I despise the people that work there. But anyway, what was Yazoo like? It was off the hook at one time when it first
Oh
opened,
man,
right?
now the medium. Oh man, it was lovely. I'm talking about lovely. Because for one, it wasn't supposed to even be online that early, meaning that they actually took a prison that wasn't opened up completely. It wasn't even finished being constructed all the way. Like they finished the rec yard and everything while I was there. It was a lot of parts of it that wasn't completed. So, but they had to open it up for emergency because of the hurricanes. So it was sweet, man. I mean, females was going, I was bringing the bag in, it was nice. It was sweet at the medium when I first got there.
So the women that are working there. I mean, are they banging dudes or what?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. They was selling pussy left and right.
Okay, so what's that cost for a dude that's been in for 15 years?
Well, I ain't never paid for nothing. Not to say I wouldn't have. You know what I'm saying? I had a couple of relationships in the Fed. I had a few in the state. You know what I'm saying? I put myself in certain situations where I'm working in certain, areas where I'm around females. I'm gonna be in offices, clerks. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna be around females. I'm gonna pretty much put myself in a position to be around females uh in any job that I get. I don't want no kitchen job. I don't want no rec yard job. I don't want no job where it's a whole bunch of people around. Give me some type of office job. You know what I'm saying? I consider myself a pretty slick and intelligent person. So I'm always, and I know how to talk and present myself. And plus I know how to work hard too. I come up, well, I had a household where my father, taught me a good work ethic. So, and how to move around. So, and deal with any people. He dealt with a whole bunch of people, politicians, black, white, Mexican. So I know how to just communicate and deal with people, get in certain situations where I can have it my way.
So pretty much you want to work in medical, you want to work maybe up front, the warden's office area,
I,
stuff like that.
I did that at USP Pollock. I worked in the AW complex, which is the associate wardens complex. Uh, I worked in the back in the unit team area. So I had those type of jobs where it's not a whole bunch of inmates back there. You know what I'm saying? Like you done been there. So if I'm working in unit team, I'm the head all. I'm the only one back there. And you know how it is in unit teams. Most of the people back there are females.
So in your mind, you're like, yo, I got to get one of these jobs, pull one of these chicks. I can't be in here for 16 years without a woman.
Well, no, I wasn't even looking at it like that. It was more so me getting the bag in. You know what I'm saying? I was more so getting the bag in because I had done time. So I knew that in order to survive, you need to have you some money and, commissary and so on and so forth. So it was all about getting the bag in. It just so happened that most of the time it was the female bringing me the bag, and it started off business, and then you know how it go from there. It get personal.
So Yazoo City, are you getting the bag at Yazoo when you're there?
I started getting it a little bit, but not to the point where I had it, I had the yard or something like that. Like I'm the only one with the bag. No, I was getting it, but not like that. Not at Yazoo.
What goes into getting a chick, man, to bring you the bag? You offer them a little bit of money. Hey, you do this, I do that, man. We can make a couple dollars. How's it go?
Well, it depends. Like, let me tell you about this one situation. Then, I'm working in, I'm working in a certain department, and I don't want to say, too much because I went under investigation for this shit. They even picked up my mom and everything in the free world. I'm locked up, and they went to her job and picked her up because they thought that I was sending her the money, and they thought that the female was, going to deal with my mother and so on and so forth. But I'm working in a certain department, and so I'm not even shooting at them. I'm not. I already kind of got the bag, but I ain't got it where nobody's bringing it to me. And so they just took a liking into me. And once I see that, you know, that weakness in them, if that's what you want to call it, then I know how to exploit that, whether I'm locked up or in the streets. So, and one thing just led to another. I didn't have to, for real, with any female, I never had to shoot my shot, so to speak. I never had to, I just was being me around them. And that alone attracted them. You know what I'm saying? Plus, I had other officers, whether they knew it or not, would put me in the pussy, meaning that they would come around and talk so highly about me, you know what I'm saying, that that would make the female even more attractive to me.
So when the chick's bringing the bag, allegedly, what is she allegedly bringing? Allegedly.
Anything I wanted. Anything I wanted, man. I'm talking about from brand new 185, $200 Nike Air Max, Jordans, T-shirts, razors, uh oh man, of course all the tobacco I wanted, all the weed I wanted, all the heroin, coke, any drug that I, was going to make money, man. Like it wasn't no, you know, I mean, even my toothbrushes, I wanted RB toothbrushes. I wanted, my hair was long then, so I wanted certain kind of shampoo, certain kind of grease. You know what I'm saying? I didn't want what the commissary had. I wanted things from the free world. You know what I'm saying? So it my toothpaste was different. You know what I'm saying? Like anything that I wanted, I had then. When I have a female bringing it, you know what I'm saying? Then I'm gonna give them to bring what I want, whether it's t-shirts or, and this was all for personal use. I'm not selling the shoes. I remember one time I had a brand new, I think around 2014 or something like that. I had a brand new pair of Nike Air Max. They probably hadn't been out 2 weeks. And when I got all that shit, I had Beat by Dre earbuds. Man, I got all that shit and I was scared to even wear that shit. Because I say, boy, if I put this shit on, they gonna know who got that bag around here. But I eventually I eventually put it on. And it was just certain situation, man. I was on the compound with Big Meech at the time. And but he had just got there. But I was Big Meech over there at the compound at the time. You know what I'm saying? Like you might have had it in the streets, but I got it in here, and I got the compound on lock with this bag. So he ended up, approaching me or sending one of his partners to holler at me about buying the shoes because he seen me with them on. And I sent the message back to him. I told him, man, listen here, if you see anybody else with these type of shoes on the compound, then I give them to you. But other than that, you can't give me $5,000 for them.
So you pretty much was like, man, shit. I'm like you said, I'm Big Meech over here. I run this shit over here.
Yeah, that's how I was looking at it. That's pretty much how I carried myself at every institution. Anybody that know me, and I'm not saying that I was no badass or dudes couldn't get to me because it was some situations, Well, I had to get some my homeboys out on the yard. You know how that shit go with them politics and so on and so forth. Cause I didn't jack this dude or I didn't did this here. You know what I'm saying?
Ask you a little bit about Meech. So you kind of reject him on selling him some shoes, right? Did he
Yeah.
take it personal, or was he just like, man, fuck it?
No. He ain't take it personally. You know, he used to invite me to come shoot some dice over there with them, but I'm playing the role like I'm not that guy. You know what I'm saying? I'm playing the role like, you know, I just got some shoes. I bought them off another guy. You know, I ain't saying this, but this is how I'm carrying myself. I'm not carrying myself like I'm the guy with the bag. You know what I'm saying? And I didn't put these shoes on till I went to the shoe, which is the special housing unit for people that don't know lockup. I didn't put them shoes on until I went to lockup for under investigation. And so when I went to, under investigation, they investigated me for like 3 or 4 months, and I come out the hole. And so I was like, okay, SIS, which is the people that do the investigating of criminal charges that can bring new charges up on you in the federal prison for people that don't know. So I was like SIS and seen all my inventory and my, my shoes and stuff like that. So that's when I brought them out. That's when I pulled them out. So it wasn't like I said, when I first got all that shit in, nobody even knew it. I was scared to even wear some of that shit because I knew that when dudes see you with some tennis shoes that ain't been out in the world for 2 3 weeks, and I got them on in here. You know what I'm saying? I end up cutting the you know the tongue of the shoe. When you look in shoes, whether they're George, Nike, Adidas, whatever, right there where it tell you the size, it has a barcode on the tongue of the shoe. So I end up cutting that barcode out because I already know everything can be traceable. You understand what I'm saying? So, and SIS ended up telling me, you know, they was like, "Oh, you think you slick? You didn't cut that barcode." I say, "No, man, I bought these. I won them on the Super Bowl game or something. I can't remember exactly what I told them. I told them some bullshit, but they already knew. You know, they actually let me out the hole really to set me up. They had a guy that they shipped in which was a known snitch. Name was Angel Perez. They shipped him from USP Beaumont, and he had just knocked off a big conspiracy over there. So they shipped him over there to get me. And so what they ended up doing was putting him in the hole next door to me. And so, we would talk and kick it or whatever, whatever. But he already knew about me. And so he would always ask me, man, what's up with your connect out there? I was like, connect who? Man, they say you the man. I say, man, I don't believe none of that shit you hear. But we kind of got all right. He got magazines but this is his game. This was his way of trying to get up under me. And so when they let me out the hole, because they probably wasn't gonna never let me out the hole. So when they let me out the hole, they let me out the hole with the intention of him setting me up. He had never been on the compound. Like I say, they shipped him over there, put him in the cell next door to me. And the day they let me out the hole, they let him on the compound and put him in the same unit that I was in.
Where's
And
this
so
at? FCI Beaumont?
no, this was FCI Pollock. I had left the USP and went next door.
So you're in Pollock. I mean, they allege you're the man over there. They send this cat over there to get you.
Yeah, yeah.
You were also in Beaumont in the pen, right?
No, no. I was at USP Pollock for 5 years.
Let's talk about Pollock, right? One of the most dangerous prisons you could be in the country. What years were you in Pollock?
I got there in '07 to 12. I got there like March '07. I think I might have left in November, right before Thanksgiving or right before Christmas of 12. So that was like from March '07 to November, December 2011, right at 5 years, something like that. Yeah.
You over there with Gotti? Wasn't Gene Gotti over there?
Yeah, you had a whole bunch of big heavy hitters, man. You had um DC Champ, you had Gene Gotti. You had T Stuckey from Detroit. You had Raheem, which is Larry Hoover co-defendant. You had GF, which is Godfather from Chicago. You had Nino from Chicago. You had JC from DC. You had a whole bunch of guys, man. I can't remember all of them names, but you had a whole bunch.
What was Gene Gotti like? Any interactions with him?
I had more interactions with Gene Gotti when we actually went from the USP together to the medium together. So we rode across the street together. Um, I didn't really have no dealing with him like that. I remember one time that DC them had got into some shit with some guys or something like that, and he was out on the yard, and he ended up saying something, and them DC guys was getting ready to get on his ass, and DC champ ended up stopping that situation, and just because him and Gene Gotti was real close, they used to run the track together and kick it and so on, but Gene Gotti wasn't like a you could talk to him, but he wasn't his brother. He wasn't the guy that you could just kick it with or something like that. He didn't sign no autographs. He didn't do no pictures and all that shit like that. But if he knew you, you could talk to him and speak to him. I had read books, about Gene Gotti, and it was really about the mafia, but they would mention Gene and of course his brother and so on and so forth. But yeah, I didn't really have that kind of interaction with him, but I used to see him all the time. He had security, which was the white guys was his security because Italian's not deep like that in the penitentiary. So
He actually had some bodyguards in federal prison, kind of thing.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I even had him at one time when I had that bag. You ain't gonna have that bag at no USP without no security.
Listen,
Especially at USP Pollock. Like it was like the streets there, man. If let's just say for instance, and this not happening to me, but let's just say if I'm going get the bag or somebody's bringing me the bag. If I'm not going to visitation, getting the bag or got some kind of way of getting the bag in, and people hearing that I got the bag, if my team not solid, if I ain't got the right people around me, dudes coming in my cell with that knife, they gonna rob me. This is shit that that I didn't did. So I already know what the consequences would have been if I don't have the right team around me. You know what I'm saying? Now it wasn't always like that, but when I started getting the bag and really had the bag, yeah. When I go to the shower, dudes outside the shower, you know, when I go to commissary, if I wanted to go to commissary or walk to, just the yard period, then then I had security. You know what I'm saying?
let me ask you this, right? People that haven't been in prison don't really understand how it really works, right? Some of them watch movies, they see the shot caller, they see blood in, blood out. So really, we'll give them a different perspective. We'll give them the real perspective. In a sense, you were the shot caller for Texas, right?
No, 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 not at no point. But look at it like this: if you got the bag, you don't have to be the shot caller. You can kind of dictate things by having the bag through the shot caller, so to speak. My game is more of a finesse game. You know what I'm saying? Not to say that I ain't gonna sling that iron or I prefer to talk the situation and getting what I want. You know what I'm saying? Or making the moves. I always had myself in the situation where they had to come through me. Meaning, whether the Texas car or dudes had to come to through me to get certain things done. Just say penitentiary type things. Just say like I'm working in unit team and you want to get moved from one cell to another with your homeboy. Then you would go through me to get that done because I work in unit team around the case managers and the counselors, the ones that do the moves. You know, if you want to use the phone to call your attorney or call your family in the back, then I'm the one you went through. You know what I'm saying? So I always had myself in situations where I didn't have to be the shot caller, but I could, make things happen. So I never had to send no hits or no shit like that. But yeah,
Let me ask you this. You're not the shot caller, but the shot caller, let's say for Texas, right? He's definitely getting a little something so he can make a couple dollars, right? He's the shot caller, right?
well, I'm pretty sure people was hitting it their hand. You know what I'm saying? Because he was getting the bag too. Now at this certain time, we talking about USP Pollock, so I ain't I wasn't the only one with the bag. I just had a move that I had going on at the time, so I wasn't the only one with the bag. The dude that had the Texas car, he had the bag too. You know what I'm saying? His bag probably wasn't as big as mine, but he had the bag. But he still had to come through me to get certain things done. You know what I'm saying? Not maybe, what would be major to some people, but when you got a homeboy in a position to make things happen. So therefore, if they come to me and I can make it happen, that put me in the situation where okay, I'm valuable to the shot caller. You understand?
100%. I mean, you might be the pipeline. You might be the way they can get it in.
Correct, correct. And that was the situation at one time. Yes.
Most vicious group at Pollock. I mean, I was there. I was there at the same time as you. It wasn't there long. Ended up getting into something and ended up leaving there, right? But who was the most vicious group of dudes at USP Pollock when you were there?
I would say the DC car. And it was ran by DC Champ. And I'm it's funny that because I'm saying to myself, this guy here, he looked like he probably about 4'11", you know what I'm saying? And hey, but you know, once I got to know him a little bit, you know what I'm saying? It, he was vicious in the streets of DC, and he was vicious in the penitentiary at USP Pollock. Like I never seen nobody. Now you had gang members. You got the Vice Lords, the GDs, the BDs, the Peace Stones, the Crips, the Bloods, the Mexican gangs, and all this shit here. But I never seen nobody that command a yard. Like it wasn't. He was well respected, and the DC car was well respected. At least while he was there, the whole time. And if any one of them gang members, any one of them got out of line, they had to deal with that DC car. As far as if you got out of line with a DC guy, I don't care if it was a argument. 9 times out of 10, it's going to be a killing. What at USP Pro Lot, what no fighting and all that. You might not even get a one-on-one fight with your homeboys, but for sure with them DC guys, wasn't no fighting. They slinging that iron all day, every day. I remember the incident where DC Champ was playing football against Florida on the field. I think that was on B yard at the time. And dude from Florida ended up slamming him down, you know what I'm saying, tackling him. But the way he slammed him down was a little rough, you know what I'm saying? And man, look at it. That was a DC Florida right there. That shit kicked off and dudes got stabbed all the way up and so on and so forth. You know what I'm saying? Then you had another incident where DC and Louisiana got into it. And this situation I was more close to, meaning that it originated out of my unit. I was in B4 at the time, and one of my homeboys and another dude end up uh exposing theyself to a DC dude. And he they was really call themselves masturbating on a female. And the DC dude end up seeing it. And it didn't go down right then. It was some politicking that took place. But both of the guys stayed in my unit that was masturbating or jacking off on the woman. And one of the dude from Texas, he ended up checking in, meaning he went to the whole because he kind of seen the shit brewing. And so the DC dudes went to the Louisiana dudes, which was really who had the Louisiana car at the time was New Orleans. It's gonna really be the biggest city that from your state that's kind of got the car. So he end up they end up going to the Louisiana, New Orleans dudes and told 'em, man, you gonna run your homeboy up. And they kind of like DC kind of guys, they grimy, you know what I'm saying? So they wasn't running one of their homeboys up. They was like, no. So DC Champ didn't even stay in my building. But he came over there and they told him to run him up or so on and so forth. And they wasn't gonna run him up. So they end up kind of squashing the situation to a certain extent. You know what I'm saying? They was at the point where, okay, we gonna let y'all make it. DC then was like, well, we gonna let y'all make it to a certain extent. So I end up going to work. I was actually working in the AW complex. So I went to work that morning, and I probably wasn't at work a good 20 minutes. They had a dude from New Orleans on the rec yard talking shit because nothing had happened. This is one of the incidents where DC didn't push on them right then. They was really, did let the politics take place, and I guess the New Orleans dudes felt like, oh, they ain't about that action because we in Louisiana, we in their backyard. They got more guys there than probably any car. You know what I'm saying? I can't remember the numbers, but I know DC probably didn't have more than about 20, 25 guys there, maybe 30. You know what I'm saying? And so they end up saying some shit, and it got back to Champ and I think one of the dudes was like, "Man, them boys didn't want no smoke or some old shit like that." I can't remember what words he used verbatim, but Champ got word, and so on the next end of night, how they do the in and outs, meaning that you're in your buildings or you in whatever location for an hour, and they do in and outs every hour for like 10 minutes. So when they done that next in and out, Champ them come out there, man, and went to slaughtering them guys, man. I'm talking about when I say they dogged them, I'm talking about they dogged the New Orleans guys. They dogged the whole Louisiana car. I'm talking about dudes that was all in school that didn't even know what was going on. Dudes that was all at work in Unicorn that didn't know nothing about nothing that was going on. Uh, when they was actually coming from work, because now the compound is locked down. So as they coming in from work from Unicorn, man, ain't got nothing to do with nothing. They coming in the block. Well, as they coming in the block, they can't get in their cells to the officer letting them in their cells, but the officer might be outside letting everybody else come in. I actually sent you a picture with Champ and them on there, for your audience to see when you put it up, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, they end up stabbing some dudes up coming from work, man, from kitchen and everything. When they came in the block, they couldn't get in their cells right then. I seen dudes slide knives out under the door, DC dudes slide knives under the door, and they were stabbing dudes up coming from work, man. That was the bloodiest ride that I seen, and I was there for. Seen some white boys have rides. I seen, I was there. I seen probably about 7 murders in probably a 18-month, maybe 9 murders in like a 18-month period at USP Pollock at the time. You know
So
what
the
I'm saying?
DC, let me ask you this: DC dudes are out there slaughtering, or the New Orleans dudes stabbing back?
They they wasn't prepared for nothing like that. I mean, I'm pretty sure maybe one or two dudes might have stabbed, but ain't nobody from DC went to no hospital. Like I watched them myself with my own eyes run guys all the way in the block and stabbing them all in the cell in the head. The gun tower steady shooting and throwing grenades and so on and so forth. I seen the dude get stabbed right there. Cause when they hit the deuces, which is the alarm for people that don't know, when they hit the deuces, they ran me out of the AW complex. So I'm right in front on the yard seeing all this here take place. So I'm seeing dudes getting stabbed up in medical, uh, you know, uh, with the gurneys, dragging people off the yard, doing CPR on guys. Nobody died, but you had some dudes that damn near died. I remember one guy from Baton Rouge named Sid. They had to put him in one of the laundry carts and push him to the emergency room. I mean to the infirmary. I seen Champ myself, you know, slanging that iron, hitting by 4, 5 guys, chasing them behind them, and they just wasn't prepared for that, man. But the crazy thing about it, they end up linking up and becoming, becoming, becoming one. So DC and the Louisiana car end up clicking up together after all that, and became one. And that what made some of the other gangs end up clicking up to try to combat the Louisiana and the DC car. And that wasn't going on nowhere damn near in the system until USP Pollock.
Were you there when the white kid got killed, Bubba Sparks?
I was there for, like I say, about 9 murders, man. Like you would have to. I don't remember that name,
Let
but
me give it to you. Let me give it to you. The white dude's in the unit. Black DC dude says, "Man, the
oh,
first white dude that comes in, I'm gonna kill him."
yeah. That was the first bodies on USP Pollock. When I got there in '07, wasn't no murders there. Now you had a whole bunch of stabbings. When I got there, it was a whole bunch of stabbings every day. Deuces were going off, but they didn't have no murders. The first 2 murders at USP Pollock was double homicides, meaning that it was 2 people got killed both times. Now that happened. That happened with Bubba Sparks or whatever his name was. That happened uh, right above me. I was in B4. That happened in B1, B2 unit. So it was one morning at breakfast, and that's when all the killing started. When they shut down USP Beaumont and shipped all those guys from USB Pollock over to, USB, when they shut down US Bloody Beaumont, when they shut down the USP over there and sent all those guys to Pollock, then that's when the killing started. So that incident, yes, I recall. It was a black guy. He went in there to jack this guy, this white guy that was selling cigarettes or something, and he ended up stabbing this guy up. He ended up killing that guy. The other white guy came in there and he hit him a couple of times, but the black guy was so cocky, he told the other white guy, "Go get your knife." So the other white guy went in the cell with a dude named Cowboy, which ended up snitching on the white boy later on and gave him 2 knives, helped him bandaged the knives up and so on and so put the knives on his hand, lock him in. And that white guy went back and killed that black guy that had killed the white guy. So you had 2 murders at the same time. And that kicked off a major ride. Like when they brought the black guy on the gurney, and this is during breakfast time. So when they brought the black guy on the gurney, dudes that's in the cafeteria eating the chow hall, they look out the window and see it's one of their homeboys, the DC dudes do. But they don't know, what didn't happen. And then they brought out the white guy, and the white guy say, "Yeah, I just killed that," and it went off right then. They went to stabbing people up in the kitchen, and they went from the kitchen to the whole compound. I'm talking about every dome. All you heard was, the gunshots from the tower. All you heard was the grenades from the tower, deuces and everything. That was the first 2 murders there. Then the next 2 murders was a double homicide. I can't remember whether the guy was from New York or somewhere. He was from up north somewhere, and they called themselves gonna discipline the guy. They wasn't trying to kill him, but they end up killing him. And so when they locked the compound down, they actually found another body in another building in the shower. and they end up ruling that a homicide. That's just how fucked up Pollock was at the time.
Crazy life, brother. How long you been free, man?
Oh, I've been free since 19.
Feel like prison affected you mentally, emotionally, seeing all the violence? Did it hurt you a little bit?
No, 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 not to the point where I can't, you know, uh, that not to the point where I was struggling. Man, I got right out and got project management jobs. You know what I'm saying, for some big companies, and I was traveling the United States building Amazons because that's my black background, construction. So no, I didn't. I'm a person of a sound mind. Like I said, I feel like I'm an intelligent person. You know, that's the way I carry myself. So no, that prison didn't, it didn't affect me, and not in a negative way. Not to where I couldn't come back and survive in society or be a productive citizen. Now, um, I guess it affected me to the point where I I care. I'm not. I don't want to use the word institutionalized, but I do things now I want things organized. I want things to be in a certain way, and that might be just the management style in me. My upbringing. Because that's my upbringing. But in prison, everything is more. We use the word institution, but a hospital is an institution. A Fortune 500 company working at Google is an institution because you have rules and regulations you're going to follow. So I don't want to just use that word, but I want things to be a certain way. I want things to be established. I want things to be nice, neat, organized. And so if prison had an effect on me, the only negative effect it had was I lost my father while I was locked up, and I lost a lot of time as far as being free. But as far as having a negative impact where I come out and I can't survive, or I'm shell shocked at this, or got some kind of PTSD, now it's nothing like that.
Yeah, I mean, federal prison, some of the violence that you've seen before you go to prison, while you're in prison, you become calloused, I think, a little bit, where, you know what, you might bother you the first time or two, like, damn, that shit's crazy. But then it just becomes, hey, this is everyday life in here, right? And
Yeah,
then some
you,
people can't function, but a lot of people do get out and function. I'm one of the people that got out, been through a lot of shit, seen a lot of shit, and engaged in some bullshit at times. But you
yeah,
know what? I'm able to function. And not only that, I was able to prosper.
yeah, and I see that. You know what I'm saying? I like what you're doing. That's why I reached out to you and so on and so forth. You know, Have you even heard anything or reached out to because I think Gene got has gotten out. He was in the process of getting close to being out before I left, or DC Champ, or uh some of them guys have gotten out. Them dudes had life sentences. Gene Gotti had been locked up since the 80s. Champ had been locked up since the 80s. Them guys had license. Uh T Stuckey. I don't know if he ended up getting out. I know he had a life sentence out of Detroit. Um, I can't remember if he got out. But have you heard anything about those guys, or
No,
tracked
not
down?
really. I mean, people like that would go on Vlad and stuff like that. You know what I mean? They'll pay them cats to go on their shows probably. And I don't think Gene Gotti would have probably done an interview anyway with anyone. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know if he has, but you know how the mob guys are.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
man, I'm glad that you're out and that you're free and you're living your best life, right?
Well, I'm not living my best life, but I'm on my way there. I'm trying to get my own development company started. And I got the paperwork, and I'm getting the groundwork part of it done now. So yeah, I'm not living my best life, but I'm free and I'm alive. So
What matters? Before we get ready to go, anything you want to say?
well, I mean, I appreciate this opportunity. You know what I'm saying, and maybe this get me on some other platforms where I could, tell my story and go a little deeper, and get to the point where I can get me some money to do what I want to do, to live my best life, as you say.
I definitely appreciate you coming on, sharing your story, sharing your experiences. It's real, man. There's a lot of kids out there that don't realize you know, when you get to federal prison, that it ain't a game, that this
No,
shit's for real. There's
yeah,
people in there that'll rob you. There's people in there that'll kill you. You might go in there with 5 years, 10 years, and never make it out, right?
eh, and that is 100% facts. I met a guy, a white guy, and he went in there with a 20-year sentence and ended up getting caught up in some shit and got a life sentence. You know what I'm
There's
saying?
some, there were
Yeah,
some people at Pollock that ended up with death sentences.
yeah. I met a guy. He was actually a white guy from USP Beaumont. He ended up killing another guy and ended up getting the death penalty. And I met a couple of guys from Detroit. They ended up killing the snitch at USP Beaumont. And one got the life sentence and the other one got the death penalty.
Tomorrow's never promised. Again, brother, I appreciate you coming on. I'm going to tell people if you like what we're doing, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Until tomorrow, we're out.